I would actually like to ask Katharina to join me here for the transdisciplinary research. I would like to ask Dario to join in for the ecosystem services, which would be the chair next to me. Then we have Fernando, for the water, and Lucas, yes, for the transformations. So, and you see there's still the open chair, so whenever you feel you would like to jump in, or you can. But I would like to ask you first, I mean, now we heard or discussed a lot the question of the challenges of the disciplinary qualification and the transdisciplinary project environment we are in, or our approach to work transdisciplinary, and the question of our different research backgrounds. I mean, some of us are parts of a junior research group, others are more independent, others might be like in this bigger project context. So my first question for you would be to just briefly say, what's your actually background? I mean, are you working in a junior research group or on your own or in another setting? And how do you feel now after also the last days with the question of disciplinary qualification, transdisciplinary environment, and what are like the good things about this and your situation, and what is still really challenging you, or the questions that are still open for you, how you could deal with it? So I think you can use this microphone to pass around or to start if you like.
I could try. Hello. Yeah, it's working. I'm, as you said, part of a junior research group, so we are in the same junior research group actually. And doing also my PhD at the university. And I think it's also, like Alex said, it's better. In this context, it's not possible for my PhD to do this transdisciplinary integration in all aspects and along all categories and processes in the project. But still, we can pick aspects and we can work transdisciplinary, even not like in this ideal form. And so this workshop also was really interesting to see more different practical examples of how people doing this, and not just to know the model and to see, oh God, I have to integrate them at the same level at all stages, and I cannot do it. And then, I sometimes was questioning, are we even transdisciplinary in our junior research group, or is it more like we're doing our disciplinary PhD and then we integrate it somehow between us? But I think we can take a lot from this summer school to find ideas how to progress in transdisciplinary integration of other viewpoints and knowledge.
Okay. I mean, so this seems that you feel like a bit more relaxed now, that you see you don't, maybe that this is good, and or you're also questioning what we are actually doing, but are there still things you find not really addressed or you're still worrying about?
You mean are not addressed by the summer school?
Yeah, somehow.
I cannot really tell because I was sick these 2 days, and so I missed some parts.
Okay.
So for me, it started maybe too late in the process. That's why I'm now know more about evaluation than about the things before.
Okay.
So but it was really intense, the program, so I think it would not be possible to include even more.
So, hi, I'm Katharina, and I'm currently a bachelor student and also an activist with Friends of the Earth Germany, where I'm dealing with research policy. And I'm also working as a student assistant for Forschungswende, which is a network of NGOs working with research policy. And to me, one of my just very personal experiences, like in the summer school, is like the role of the kind of human component of how we study and learn, because honestly, at my university, I'm struggling all the time. No one gets what I want or why I do the papers I do and how I do them. And it can be really hard to cope with that. And so maybe one of the aspects we could discuss a little further is like how to cope with being in a niche, like both in your discipline and maybe also at your social surroundings, might it be a university or an institute. And the second thing I was thinking about is like how research is a part of society itself. So how can the discourse on TD be TD itself? And how to integrate social practitioners, civil society into that, because maybe we have some work to do with uniting the discourses in society and science on TD, actually.
So, hi. A little bit about my background. I'm a civil engineer, and then I studied a master in water resources. So I was always involved in this engineering approach, and I would say that maybe until 6 months before I was always only with this focus. Then I decided to join a junior research group here in Darmstadt that has this approach of the transdisciplinarity. So I just approach this concept is something completely new, and I then decided to come here, but I was challenged to like this kind of new experience, and it came to my mind like, okay, why I'm leaving my comfort zone when I don't really need it. But so at the beginning, I would say I feel a little not stressed, but challenged for this. But now the thing is that, okay, I know that there are new ways how you can approach the different problems, and I cannot stay in this comfort zone because I will feel uncomfortable with myself. So I think that's one of the things that I appreciate from this summer school. And also it was really nice and like a really good experience to meet people that are very different, but at the same time, I realized how they have different ideas, but somehow they can approach the same idea, or not the same idea, but like they follow the same path, but in a different way.
Okay, so my background, I'm biologist, and I came to this transdisciplinary field because of ecosystem services. Kind of related what you said, and Diana as well. There are small niche in each discipline that try to integrate. And the workshop, the school has shown me that it is a general concern in society, like, yeah, we have to do these things different. And I guess as kind of beginners in the field, we can try to find those niche in our disciplines that are open to this transdisciplinarity. So I have, for example, ecosystem services has like more or less 20 years by now. And now the discussion is how to do integration and, how to combine knowledge. So I have heard the same discussion in health science, like nursery, how to alleviate, pain with a social mindset. It means it's a new medicine focused on the patient. So there are different small things in each discipline that tries, concerns that tries to address those transdisciplinary problems. I guess I don't know what else.
No, I think it's very interesting to see it, and I think I have also, I mean, the question is, do you have the feeling, maybe to say it in a sentence again, that you're able to do like the transdisciplinary research and being like also gaining expertise in your discipline at the same time, or is this like challenging to switch in between? I mean, because I think, as I understood you, you're an engineer, and now you probably also have to apply social science methods. So the question would be, I mean, do you feel comfortable with it? I mean, what does it mean for you if you work like in this, field maybe of jumping between the two perspectives a bit?
I think it's not like jumping or switching from one discipline to another, but how you can integrate, or how can you knowing that you are good in one discipline, how you can adapt what you learn from other people. And this experience, for example, that we together are from different disciplines, and we can discuss our topics with like a body, let's say, and we can understand that we can discuss and make questions. It's also like as an input for ourselves. So in general, we as we have already our own discipline, is how we can adapt our discipline, or how we can get the potential from our discipline to work together, and not like jumping from one side to another.
Okay.
For me, it's somehow sometimes not easy to have this sociology PhD and this project, because sometimes in the university, like the sociologists, they want to be like this more critical observer, and they are skeptical about this collaboration things, that you are not really then open for the results, but you know what you want. So that's what I hear when presenting such a project, and sometimes they say, you know what you want, and you know what you want to find out. So there's a little bit about skepticism about this transdisciplinary collaboration I feel in the sociology at the university, and sometimes then I also feel this discrepancy on my own. So how much can I go like in this collaboration and still be distance enough to have this critical view on my project partners and on the field. So that's one, I think, challenge, and the other is this different practical time frames and organization and things like publications, and how to organize this in the group, and then what is the professor telling you, and what. So there's a lot of frictions between this, and I think it's probably different in each discipline how they can cope with transdisciplinary approaches. But I guess if we all bring this into the different universities and institutes, they are opening, and so we might learn from each other also, that this transdisciplinary thing in universities at disciplinary institutes is also a good thing, that it's not like a separate thing outside of the other disciplines, but it's new people just doing this, but it's the same people doing this in the disciplinary departments. And so that's a good chance about this PhD projects, I guess, that the professors, they also get to know about this.
So we're trying to influence the universities by doing our PhD there. I mean, you also had the question of how getting out of the niche. And my next question would be, what would be then, I mean, we heard some challenges, but it also seemed that you also made really good experience how it could work for you very well. But the question would be, if you could, have like a big wish or a vision, how to just name it like maybe in 1 or 2 sentences, what really should change that it would be more easy for you to do your research. Maybe one aspect, I mean, you can't target all in 1 sentence or 2.
Do you mean change in like the circumstances of Yeah, I think sometimes it's hard to, in this PhD project, it is hard to have this timeline, and then you have to build up these collaborations. It's somehow I felt it was not easy that you can like bring people to be really interested in your project and be like on this engagement on this level, which would often be needed for real transdisciplinary collaborations. So that was one of the biggest challenges probably for me, that you feel they are also like, and that's maybe hard if you're designing your project and then you search for your praxis partners, that then they are really on this engagement, that they really want to collaborate and not you have to run after them all the time. But I don't know how to make the society more interested in such research. I don't know.
Maybe so. For me, I see like 2 dimensions. First, personally, I feel like the knowledge that I've gathered from being part of social movements isn't recognized at all at university. So the integration of different kind of types of knowledges, both in writing papers, getting your PhD, and conferences, and just people being consciousness that there are more types of knowledges than that we are mainly dealing with at universities would be great for me personally. And like on political level, maybe concerning research policy, nowadays, as far as I know, the highest investions in research policy are by private corporations, mainly the car industry. So maybe we need new funding ideas too. Like that there could be branches where TD is accepted as abroad.
For me, it would be how you can gain credibility when you work, for example, in a transdisciplinary project, and then you have what do you have as a result, and how you can actually show this to the people that you were working with. Then how you can also build your experience based on what people are seeing.
Okay, I guess like working in teams, it will help enormously to support you in your research, in the research. I don't know, because in this division in the academia on disciplines, it could make transdisciplinary researchers lonely researchers. So it would help like being part of a team, or I'm not talking about like transdisciplinary team, but maybe just a team that to have contact and be enriched about the techniques or the methods that discipline gives, but being surrounded by maybe not so mind-like people, but resourceful people, Okay,
I mean, there was already the idea to build up now from the summer school participants a network to exchange on transdisciplinarity. And I think, as I understood, I mean, you would suggest also to work on the fundings idea, to have there more openness for other formats to actually change it. Here I hear that more time would be needed. The question would be if like an 8 years PhD would be like an option in transdisciplinarity. Yeah, the question, yeah.
I could add something there. When you talked about this, maybe it would also be a way to make this stronger if the universities would also, if different kinds of publication and other results would also have more worth, and not just this papers in the high impact journals, then, because often now I have the feeling, at least in the social science, you make your projects and your analysis, and then somehow it's a need to have some practical results, but there's not a lot of time left and not a lot of words in it, so you just write some suggestions for policy which are often not the full potential of the analysis before, so it would often be more potential, I think, to if this would have more words on this university and scientific level, to have other publications or to have practical implementations. So how the scientific world is still mainly on publications based. Yeah, that's a challenge, I guess. If it's also a challenge for us at ESU that we need to go more in these high impact journals, because it's the most worse in. Often for the practice partners, it's not really of any interest.
Okay, then I have like 2 questions to this. I mean, do we get like new ideas now from the summer school so far? I mean, unfortunately, the communication part is still a bit missing, which comes tomorrow. But the question would be, I mean, what could be like ways to actually trigger then the change? I mean, would it be like to have like a, I don't know, promotion of the transdisciplinarity? How could this look like? How can we actually change something? Do we have like any ideas about this? Or does the summer school give us like something where we think, okay, this gives us now a new idea how we could actually try to promote or open new ways to give like more worth to the other type of publication and knowledge transfer or exchange as well?
I guess I don't know, I guess was Monica that told that about, but a way to maybe have more voice is to show results, doing research by itself, yeah. So it's to make your research, don't call it like transdisciplinary, it's just show the benefits, and yeah, I don't know, for me, it's kind of straightforward. Just do it, but with actions. Yeah.
So, and I would also like to remind all of you, there is still an open share that waits for someone to come also in. But I'm very happy to have you now here.
Courageous.
Actually, I wanted to remind you of the picture Lucas drew. Yesterday, I think, in the morning. So we are all ambassadors in our disciplines to that work as transdisciplinary as well as disciplinary. So there has to be a cultural change, I think, in the disciplines that acknowledges us. So what you said is then important. So I think you not only can see us on the individual level, we also have to see a societal level and at least an institutional level that universities have to adapt in a long run. So that would be a point I would emphasize here.
So I agree with Björn on that point, and maybe let's think about that's the sphere of science, right? And of researching. And this sphere is part of the sphere of society. So I think what we need is like an intersections, creating them with civil society, because there are some actors that maybe thinking from our disciplines and the university context and research context we are not thinking about, because they are in a niche too. So what about, for example, NGOs that have a normative framework connected to social ecological transformation? Some of them actually are building alliances too and trying to build capacities to become agenda setters in policy and so on. And maybe we should try to, build bridges between these actors and us in sciences. Because I think these spaces are mostly lacking. I see a lot of NGO discussions, or maybe not as many as I would like to, but some, and some within sciences. And maybe we should, just exchange strategies and see how we can support each other and build alliances. And realize how political the topic can be.
I just want to respond to this too, because I think like my main challenge or problem, what I see at the moment is like, would you like take the medicine of a non-doctor, like a normal person? And I think we are using now, like other disciplines are using tools of other disciplines without having the knowledge, the background behind. And this can be also really dangerous, because then you are thinking, yeah, you are doing it right, you are asking some people, and yeah, maybe you're asking only men, but like it's okay, you're getting answers for your project, but you don't see how this you are putting bias into your project and maybe like having wrong results. So I think, like really to combine the disciplines and learn like some basic stuff like from the beginning would be really, really needed, because also like I'm working with the ecosystem services framework now. I'm from the social sciences, so I have never reached this point where I know like, okay, now I know everything about this framework because I have this knowledge behind. So we have to first to talk, like to communicate about the different steps, but also to be aware that there is something behind the tools and the methods we are using.
Yeah, I think, and it also reflects a bit what you said in the beginning as well, that you need also someone to exchange and to discuss with from the different disciplines. And I think, as you said, I mean, it's so crucial to think about the quality assurance. Maybe you touched it in the workshop. I haven't been there, but I think this is like crucial, especially as I think, if you like from the natural science using social science methods and vice versa, how you said it, it can be really critical in the end if you use it as a result, and to also keep this in mind. And if you're, especially I think if you're trying to work on, if you're not like in a huge or bigger project context, but if you're more or less working on your own and you don't have so many things to exchange on. Are there other comments on these questions? Otherwise, I would, like really open it up again and just ask you, is there like anything you would like to discuss also now with thinking of the World Coffee, maybe points that you have, challenges you have that couldn't be addressed here in the summer school, because of course, just a couple of days, so for sure we didn't like cover all the topics, or just also something that came actually up in the discussion with others. I mean, I think there's also, maybe are you all agreeing on what is transdisciplinarity? Are there still like points you would actually like to discuss and say, okay, but I don't really get this point? So just come in, and maybe you also have things you would like to bring up. I mean, Katharina also said, I think, 2 points for the World Coffee later. Maybe you can give her the microphone.
Wow, that's a bit high pressure now I'm feeling, but I'll go afterwards again. So, yeah, I just, someone said it before, I think it was Katharina, so I'm sitting in this chair. Science is a part of society. This means science has a history. Each discipline has a history and works in a certain context and under certain conditions. So there is no such thing as a neutral science, and we should be very aware that nothing we do is ever neutral. And linked to this, to like the disciplinary view, there's also us as people doing science. And of course I can say, yeah, I have my socialization and my discipline view as a sociologist, but I am also a person with a certain form of socialization. I grew up somewhere, I have some family somewhere, I have some hobbies, I did experiences, and all this is influencing my research. So we should not hide behind this perception of neutrality, whatever this might be. But usually we do not notice these things because this is my perception of the world. But we do also have a responsibility when we do science, because we also shape again society, because we present certain images and we reproduce also certain stereotypes. We shape the way science continues to be. And I think with transdisciplinarity we are in a good way, because we are opening up, we're giving away a bit of our own power, but still this is the point where we have to be really, really, really careful and pay attention as much as we can.
Yeah, I guess the school has provided me some points about how to be reflexive, self-reflexive, and kind of other-reflexive of what others are doing and what I am doing as well. So I guess the school has kind of has given me a good point on that. Or okay, put reflexivity on the middle of what are you doing. So, and has given some tools for that as well. Yeah.
I think it's also important what I've seen on the most posters that we have all something in common. We share the idea of social relations to nature. So some more on the side of engineering and natural science. Others have responded from their social science perspective. But this is the integrating model, or the integrating concept, the theoretical aspect, we have not mentioned yet that much in this summer school. We were focusing on methods, but the issues we are dealing with are highly connected as well. Perhaps that could be mentioned as well.
Now I have 2 microphones. I can.
I think one thing to also keep in mind is like, what can we actually contribute to it? Like, besides supporting each other in various ways, is how can we actually push for that agenda? And as Monica said, like, if you're not willing to pay the price, like, think twice if that's the right way for you to go. Like, in terms of the scientific credibility, I definitely see the challenges with having non-scientific publication formats that are not recognized in science, so it makes it harder to approach your scientific career. But somebody has to start it, like, push for alternative formats and, like, talk to your supervisors, to the boards, and, like, push and show them that there's an actual value in it also for science itself, that we can actually create something with it, that it has a certain value, and, like, look, how can you actually show that it has a value? Like, what are the different ways? And also, like, make it a science that is, like, accessible to everyone, especially when it comes to, like, science-society interface. Like, nobody's reading scientific articles, or, like, rarely anybody outside of science, maybe some journalists, some experts, politicians, but that's mostly it. And then maybe we need to look for alternative publication formats. Like, the first step is making things accessible, so they're not behind a paywall. Like, open access movement is a very important thing that I think we should also support. So it's also thinking about, okay, where do I publish? Do I go the standard ways, supporting the disciplinary science ways, going for high impact journals? It's still hard to get in there, but it's the comfortable way, and it's just going to keep that kind of journal growing. That impact factor of that journal just keeps growing the more people go there. So obviously all the other like journals at the periphery, they're not going to get any bigger impact factor because everybody wants to publish in the big impact factors already. So that's just like self-reinforcing, which brings me back to like somebody has to be willing to like pay the price and like look for it. Okay, where can you actually, okay, just decide, make a decision. If I publish in an open access journal, like out of principle. Yeah.
To add on this talk about reflexivity and how to include transdisciplinary the trend TD in how we conduct research, I thought that it was a common question in the discussions that everybody was saying that yeah, it's hard and how to do it, and everybody was interested in the case studies and the people that have experience, how do they deal with some challenges. But we know that it always end up giving less priority to some disciplines or to some considerations. Yeah, and I was just wondering how not to relegate some issues to as a less important issue just because we don't have time or just because we don't have money, because some things are still important and matter. And I think from a social science perspective, I think maybe all the social scientists will share the same opinion. That's the one that always comes last, especially in a team where there's natural scientists or engineers. It's always, well, we don't have time. Okay, let's talk about gender later, or let's talk about that later, or, yeah.
So this would be also like the question of the roles in a team and how you actually balance also not only between the scientists and the practice partners, but also the roles within a team, which could be addressed, yeah. Now it really starts to get lively and dynamic. Hello.
So keep on going the discussion on how to incorporate TD in our research and in daily life. I might just want to share one of my struggles, because I am from a legal background. So I have a bachelor in law. I'm a lawyer. My master's in environmental law, and so I would say that in this legal kind of word and legal research, we are still discussing the difference between inter and transdisciplinary research, and people have a completely different notion of what transdisciplinary actually is. And it's more like that kind of vision of transdisciplinary is going beyond disciplines and creating this common framework as a common type of science. And there's a lot of frustration of everybody that conducts legal research, because people get to results such as so we need this type of law, we need this type of instrument, or we need to come up with new solutions for that kind of thing. And they come up with some interesting solutions, some policies maybe, or some new legal instruments, some new principles. But when you see the results, they're usually ineffective. For example, for an environmental law point of view, so people come up with a lot of things that cannot really be implemented in real life, or that don't really have an impact as they should have. And this is a lot to do with not including these other perspectives and not having this more kind of transdisciplinary perspective of what the picture really is. But it's at the same time, it's so hard to actually include this in our type of research, because at least in Brazil, I cannot say for other countries, academia and law, it's really conservative. So for example, my research group works with environmental law, and we kind of have this perspective that we need to incorporate other disciplines, or at least so I'm working with ecosystem services, payment for ecosystem service. I need to learn what an ecosystem service is and like bring like a biologist, an agronomer, and like people to discuss that. But they see us as the hippies of the university. And sometimes, like, for example, my research is on agroecology and in public policies, and my advisor didn't want even me to do some like interviews in my research. So it's the very basics. It's very hard to get past that. So one of the biggest struggles we have is like actually how to make my kind of background, my faculty kind of accept this type of research and saying, oh, this is also legal research. So another thing that happened to me, I was like writing my research proposal and I had this course, it was a mandatory course, and my project was agroecology and law. And then my professor came to me and said that my proposal could not be like that. It should be law and agroecology because law comes first. And then it's rather so conceptual. So it's like some very big problems. And this is one of the biggest struggles we have. And I feel that maybe in other like social sciences fields, that this might happen too. So I know it's very hard to address that, but I think that, as you said, like doing more transdisciplinary research and like having results, this actually might show people that we need to change somehow. But from this like law perspective, I still feel that we're really far away. And the thing is, like, these people are going to become like decision makers, they're going to like policy makers, they're going to draft law and legislation that it's just not, that doesn't really help society because it doesn't really listen to the stakeholders involved. So we really need this gap and like how to bridge this gap. So what I was actually, one of the things that I was really looking forward to, like in the summer school, is to kind of learn like this kind of techniques, because when you come up with these terms like, oh, there's such a technique to do that, like research, people actually do say, oh, this looks scientific, so I'm going to listen to that. Because it's really hard and you have to come up with this kind of like strategies to kind of like make your work be validated and like be valid within like your own like research area, which is some of the struggles like you all mentioned. So I just wanted to share like this.